Opportunity to try and whip the ball in towards the middle from deep. In it comes up towards Jamil Mann. It's a great save by Bishop, and there's the follow-up from Forest Green Rovers, and it's turned into the back of the net. It's Josh March who gets the finishing touch to open the scoring on 13 minutes.
Despite defeat against league leaders Forest Green Rovers on Tuesday night, the Stags are still well within the promotion hunt with 7 games left of Sky Bet League 2. They're 3 points behind Port Vale, who sit in 3rd place thanks to former Stag Harry Charlesley and his goal in midweek. The Stags are also on level points with the 2 sides above them and sit 2 points above 7th place Tranmere and 3 points above 8th place Newport. It's all very, very tight, it's all to play for, and tomorrow afternoon the Stags go to the league's bottom side, Scunthorpe United, looking to get 3 points firmly on board.
I think they'll go in good heart after tonight, those that came tonight, because of the way we approached the game, the way we played. We're not coming back, we're not sitting back at even the top of the league. We're going to take the game to them, and we'll try and do that as much as we can on Saturday. We came here tonight trying to win the game, but we haven't got anything, and everything's just the same. So I think we've still got to win, maybe 5 out of 7 or something like that, to go around that 80-point mark. But let's try and make sure we're in that top 7.
Boss Nigel Clough knows that the Stags have to stay fully focused and not think that they've got 3 points before they've even kicked a ball against the side that are absolutely scrapping for survival and already look done with just 6 games of their campaign to go. Tonight on the Mansfield Matters podcast, we'll reflect on that midweek defeat and question whether or not George Lapsley's red card will be overturned. It should be if there's anything to do with fairness in football. But Lady Luck has refused to smile on the Stags before, and who knows what mood she's in on this Friday evening. As always, come and have your say on your team. Let us know your thoughts on that Forest Green game, as we say. Let us know your thoughts ahead of tomorrow's trip to Scunthorpe United as well. This is the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast. I never usually start with lessons on the usual podcast, but a lesson to me and producer me, and that is never pre-record the intro, because I mentioned there about whether or not George Lapsley's red card would be overturned. It wasn't. More on that later on. Hello and welcome to the Mansfield Matters podcast, the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Well, because Mansfield always matters. A timely reminder that in 2 weeks' time, 2 weeks tonight, we'll be getting ready for Stags Stories Live with Stuart Watkis, Neil Richardson and guests at One Call Stadium. If you want to get yourself a ticket for that, the link is in the description. More on that later on as we kickstart things with breaking news from One Call Stadium in the last few minutes or so, and that is that Mansfield Town's Sky Bet League 2 encounter away at Salford City has been moved to Monday the 2nd of May after being selected for live coverage on Sky Sports. The contest was originally scheduled for Saturday the 30th of April. The game at the Peninsula Stadium will kick off at 12:30, of course, on Bank Holiday Monday, with both teams vying for a top 7 finish as the race for promotion intensifies. Ticket details for the match will be announced in due course. However, due to the game being selected for live coverage on Sky Sports, the game will not be available to watch on iFollow. Audio commentary will still be available, and of course will be available on Mansfield 103.2 as well. So if you're not going to Salford, what I suggest you do is watch it on Sky Sports, press the mute button and turn up your radios and listen to full match commentary on Mansfield 103.2. More self-promotional plugs later on, but first let's delve into the Mansfield Matters podcast. As always, as we say hello to 2 people to reflect on Forest Green Rovers. One man who was in the terraces over on the far side was Clough. Do I not like the Forest Green parking? Good evening.
Good evening, Craig. Good evening, everybody. Yes, I've decided I don't like Forest Green.
Yeah, we'll come on to reasons why. Was it not because you couldn't get a sausage roll, or was it just because of the defeat and the red card? Or
No, I went well equipped with card in for us snacks. I just think it's a very inhospitable club for away fans. And I don't think it's worthy of their lofty and haughty ambitions.
Well, one man who was alongside me, he had a pass on the door. I didn't. Was Mr. Alan Wilson. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, good evening, Craig, and good evening, everybody.
Good to see you again. Very, very shocking. So I had to change one of our usual passes because my usual co-commentator Lee is sunning himself in Barbados, or as he calls it, preparing for the run-in. So I got Mr. Wilson in as usual. I said, right, can I swap Lee Wilson for Alan Wilson? They only swapped me for Alan, didn't they? They didn't have me on the list. Shocking, but it's a good job Lee was still there and managed to blag our way in all the same. Right, where do we start? As always, get your comments in and have your say on your team. Roy has asked, has the red card been rescinded? The answer is no, and very disappointing decision, Clive, but one probably we expected.
Yes, I think it seems to me that Mansfield Town has a reputation that goes before it, and I think the EFL panel have just taken that into account. I think this is one of those instances where it could have gone either way, but it was never going to go our way. I know I'm being cynical, but I've looked at it several times, and yeah, there was no intent. And I think the referee, if he's any good at his job, should have recognised that and just awarded a yellow.
Yeah, there was no intent in it there, Alan. And having watched the footage back, it's been slowed down a little bit as well. Yes, he's leading with his foot. Yes, he does catch the Forest Green man, but it's a very soft yellow card at best. And, Lapsley had not been warned all game. He's not the sort of player to go in and put malice challenges in there. So, very, very strange decision, and one which, as we saw after the game, saw Nigel Clough seething.
Yeah, I'm very surprised. I haven't seen it back. I only saw it live on the night, Craig. I haven't had a chance to see it back, so I can't comment on that bit. But from what I saw where I was, I didn't think it was a red card. Plus the fact, if Nigel Clough thought it was worth having a go to rescind it, and which he did, he obviously thought the same. And I'm very surprised it's not been rescinded because of that fact. Because if Nigel thinks it's got no chance, he wouldn't have done it anyway, like he did with Ollie Clark, I think it was, earlier on in the season. They didn't bother with that one because they thought, they got no chance. But obviously he thought he got a really good chance of getting it rescinded, which I'm really surprised and very disappointed that we haven't had it rescinded.
One saving grace, Clive, is the fact that it is only a 3-game ban. And I say is only, but usually when you appeal these cards, you usually get another game whacked on for having the audacity to challenge referees, don't you, Clive? So
I think they must have forgotten about that. Otherwise, we'd have had that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we'll keep it quiet.
I think there ought to be an award, from a panel of judges on the night for the quality of the triple salco that the FGR player performed. I've never seen anybody twirl around so much, having had his foot tapped.
Yeah, it was certainly an 8.5 on the Tom Daly scale, wasn't it?
And if you look at their players, there wasn't a great deal of outcry at the time. They saw it for what it really was, which was fairly innocuous. It was only when he went down screaming and shouting for his mother and having whirled around in the air for 30 minutes that the referee felt he ought to do something about it.
We said exactly the same in commentary, didn't we, Alan? A clear sign of whether there was intent or not is the reaction of all sets of players. And there was no reaction until, like Clive said, he went down like a screaming banshee.
I know, well, apart from the other lad trying to wear Oliver Hawkins' shirt, he got away with it most of the game. He finally got booked. And it's not sour grapes either. It's just, they seem to get away with it all night. Now, whether that's cost the top at league or what, I can't really comment, but it did seem to go against us, with the shirt pulling and fouling and whatever else. They're certainly very good.
They were a very cynical side. I mean, I have to say, overall, I thought they probably did enough to win the game 1-0. They won most of the aerial battles, and they were better at the second ball than we were throughout the game, although we did improve, ironically, in the second half after we'd gone down to 10 players. But no, to lose 1-0 against the league leaders on their ground at any stage in the season isn't a disaster. It's just disappointing the way it happened.
I mean, I'm not blaming anybody here, and I'm not saying that there's any sort of conspiracy, but there is strong rumours going around that the referee is a vegan. And on my way into the ground, I did see a couple of the kiosk girls loading a couple of boxes of vegan pies into what was the referee's car. So 2 and 2 together might make 5. Who knows? But
he needs to go back to the planet Vega.
Absolutely right. Get your comments in, have your say on your team. Let's delve into a few of them. It will be a bit of a shorter podcast tonight because I've recorded a couple of podcasts for the Stag Stories series over the last couple of nights and got in trouble with the better half for for not spending much time with us. So I've told her to go to the chippy, get us a chippy tea on me, and she'll be back about 6 o'clock, 6:15ish. So as soon as she's in and the chips are here, then that's it, I'm gone. So there you go. Right, let's delve into some of the comments. Luke's kicked us off. He says, I think we played better when we went down to 10 men. Unfortunately, we didn't bring the points home, but we showed signs of quality considering up the Stags. The Mansfield on YouTube says it's not a guaranteed 3 points, presuming tomorrow. However, I think most Stags fans would be disappointed with anything less than a win. Jim says, even if we don't get promoted this season, I do feel if we stick by and support Clough from the top to the bottom of the club, then promotion eventually at some point is a matter of when, not if. And Ellen says, despite the result, another fine performance by Wallace. Hopefully he starts on Saturday. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that, Clive. I mean, obviously he was taken off at half-time along with Ollie Hawkins, and Clough said basically because they were both booked and the referee was itching to send someone off. How right he was. I was very impressed with Wallace. I was actually very impressed with a very sort of strange setup in the middle of the park for us. We're almost playing like a pentagon in midfield, which was really, really strange, but it worked quite well with Wallace and Quinn sort of sitting at the bottom of that.
Yeah, I thought Wallace was having a decent enough game. I'm never quite sure whether it's worth taking a player off at half time because they've got a yellow. I think it smacks a little bit of overcaution, but I'm nowhere near as equipped to make these decisions as the manager we pay an awful lot of money to do. However, I thought Hawkins was having a poor game. There were many around me calling for him to be taken off anyway because he wasn't having a very good game. Probably a little unfair, but certainly they got the master of him, and that's to their credit. They recognised that he wasn't as competent a centre back as he is a centre forward, and they exploited that. And that's always a risk, I think, with Hawkins, because he is a very immobile player compared to many, and the right ball defeats him. And they were playing to their own strengths, which was actually not to his. So I wasn't disappointed he didn't come back on. And I do take the point about him in another yellow card. I mean, he's only got to get another one, I think, hasn't he, to get a 6-year ban or something?
No, two more. Is on 13 at the minute, so 2 more, and he's got another 3-game ban, I think.
They'll just about get
either 2 or 3, yeah.
With 3, yeah, he had 1. Yeah, it's 1, 2, then 3, so it'd be a 3-game ban. So
do they carry forward into the next season?
No, they don't. No. An interesting point, though, on that, Alan, was what Nigel Clough said after the game in his interview. If you want to watch that in full, it's on our YouTube channel. Was that had James Perch been feeling a little bit better, Hawkins would have been benched on Tuesday night and given him a little bit of a rest, with Perch playing right back and Hewitt going in at centre half, which was what happened in the second half. And to be fair, that back four very rarely looked troubled, even with the 10 men and the 1-man disadvantage.
I would say I thought Perch did well when he came on. I thought Hewitt was outstanding in the second half, but I would like to see Ferrand come on tomorrow and slot into that back four. Hewitt, whether it's at the expense of Perch or not, and put Hawkins up front, because we need some goals tomorrow. And I think Hawkins would be a better bet up there than at the defence. But I mean, that's only my opinion, because more goals, get that goals for tally up a little bit further than it is now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting way to approach tomorrow afternoon. We'll come back to that a little bit more in a while. But just sticking on Forest Green for a moment, Clive, and that's Mansfield performance. So, obviously, we finished the game with 10 men. We lose 1-0 to the top of the league. With 10 men, we could have got turned over. But we played really, really well. And all that we were missing was just that spark and that finishing touch, because the opening sort of 10 minutes or so, we were brilliant and we really should have had at least a goal. Stephen Quinn fizzes one over from the edge of the box, really unlucky. And then Lucas Akins, how on earth he's missed that? And I know he took some criticism from social media, and I have to say that everybody that tried to have that conversation with me, I've completely disagreed with. I think he's a fine player for us, and he offers us something which fans don't necessarily see. But just because he's not putting the ball in the back of the net, that's where the criticisms come in.
Yeah, it's a single-dimensional criticism, isn't it? They're not taking into account the other contributions that he makes. But having said that, you can't hide on the football pitch. And if he's not having an end result, and by the law of averages, he ought to have had a goal by now, then he's going to be exposed to criticism. He needs a bit of luck. I think he needs something to go off his knee and go in the goal or whatever. But, it wouldn't matter too much if we were able to score a few more goals naturally anyway. And that's been our problem, I think. Our performance has relied on a really, really tight backside. And sorry, I don't mean that in a physiological
I know
way,
what you meant. We know what you meant.
and
Move
I
on
think
quick.
we haven't been over the seasons good enough to avoid conceding a goal on too many occasions. Therefore, we had to be better at putting him in the other end. We certainly miss Oates because we don't have that speed that he brings to the game. And I thought that the two strikers we had were working really hard, but their defensive lineup, I thought by and large was capable of looking after them, and they did by and large. I think we know what we're going to expect Clough to pick on for tomorrow's game, and I think that Farron Rawson will be in the side. I also think Danny Johnson will be in the side, and I think it's probably set up for that tomorrow.
It's an interesting one. Jamie in the comments says, but he was brought in to score goals. Now, I think there's a point to that because he is an out-and-out striker, but I don't particularly think he was. You look at the amount of goals he scored for Burton Albion, 2014 to 2022 he was there, 305 appearances and only 65 goals. That's, it's not a massive great return. And I sort of said this at the time that he signed. I don't think he was necessarily brought in to be that goal scorer. I think he was brought in, Alan, to hold the ball up, give us that outlay option and, create and weave open those pockets of spaces. And that's something we've certainly seen. You look at the goals we scored at Hartlepool as a prime example to that. I don't necessarily agree that he was brought in to be that man who's going to come in and score, 9 goals in 9 games or whatever.
When he's on the same side as Barry, they seem to. I know they obviously interchange and whatever other side, but when they're on the same side, they seem to work together quite well. And I would say 80% of the time, from what I've seen of Lucas Akins, is done reasonably well. He's held the ball up, but it's just that other 20% when the ball goes astray or it's a misguided pass or whatever. I mean, nobody's perfect, Craig. Let's be honest about it. But I think he's done reasonably well since the time that he's been here. And I think he can get better, but it's like Clough said. I think he just needs a goal. Once he gets that, if he'd have scored that goal on Tuesday night, the one the third tap-in that we called it, because after the first 10 minutes, like we said on commentary, they were playing like Brazil, Wallace to Quinn to Macca, and they were playing really good football. And if that had gone 1-0 up, it'd have been an entirely different game. His confidence would have been up. And we'd have seen a different side to him, I think. But I think he just needs a goal.
Yeah, that is true. I think once he gets that goal as well, Clive, I think that might get people off his back a little bit. But if he plays tomorrow and gets a couple of assists and puts in a good shift, then that will change it. I think it's just because it was his miss that sort of that cost us a little. Well, I wouldn't say cost us. That's a bit wrong.
Every player misses opportunities. Every player makes mistakes and gives penalties away and all the fouls in the world. Listen, there is a reason these lads are playing in League Two. They have an ability level, and the best teams with the best players tend to get out of this league. And whatever my dislike for Forest Green Rovers, they have a very efficient and effective setup, and they, by and large, can handle anything that's thrown at them. They had a bit of a wobble, and I don't understand why they did, but they did. And we could have beat them with a bit more luck at their ground on Tuesday. We didn't. We move on.
Yeah, that's the key thing, Alan, isn't it? We've got to move on, and we've got to move on quickly. It's not a negative result for me. I don't think many of us expected to go there and actually get anything more than a point. We were capable of beating them, of course we were, but if some buts don't get you promotion, it's what you do, in the next game. And Nigel Clough was very, very keen to sort of wrap it off, sign it off, and move on as quickly as he could.
Well, that's what we've done for the rest of the season, isn't it, Craig? We've done that, in abundance, as it were. We've done well. We've had the fantastic run. Then we had a couple of losses. We started winning again, and then we've had a loss. We've just got to carry it on. But I don't think it's no better team tomorrow to play than who we are playing, because if we get going, we can get that goals column up, to where we need it to be. And I think it will prove that tomorrow with the side that he picks. But we've just got to carry on. There's 7 games left yet, and it's in our hands. As like we've said before, 4 games left at home as of 3 away. It's actually turning in our favour for a change.
Ashley says he needs a goal and he will kick on, but he needs time. But unfortunately, it's time we don't really have. Jamie says I would start with Johnson tomorrow. We're going to switch our attention to tomorrow afternoon's game. It will be a shorter podcast than usual today, as we mentioned at the top of the show. But don't worry, we've given you some extra bonus content this week. If you were watching on your podcast feeds, if you subscribe to Mansfield Matters on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever, get those notifications on. And on Thursday, you would have noticed yesterday that we dropped a half an hour or so interview with Stuart Watkis, who will be alongside me on Saturday afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, for full match commentary on Mansfield 103.2. Let's focus on tomorrow afternoon. Just because they're bottom of the league, Clive, and haven't won in so many games, they're in really, really poor form. They've only picked up 5 points from their last 18 games, 1 win and 2 draws, and lost 5 on the spin. It's not an easy game, and we should not go into that with the arrogance expecting to win the game before a ball is kicked. It will be, for me, the toughest game of our final 7.
You're dead right. And I don't think anybody at the football club will be taking it along those complacent lines. I think some fans might do and can understand that if we're playing the bottom of the league and the team that by and large is relegated. But they're dangerous fixtures. And over the years, the Stags have done incredibly poorly against teams they should have beaten very easily. That doesn't mean a lot, but that's sod's law, isn't it? That every now and again, when you really should do something, you don't. And when you're not expected to do it, you do. So I agree with you. I think this is probably a fulcrum game. The outcome of this game will determine just how we finish the season in many ways. I expect us to win, and I think everybody at the club does, but it's not a given.
Yeah, that's a big point, what Clive just said there, Alan, that it could shape the season. For me, Nigel Clough has been very insistent on focusing one game by a game. I'm looking at it as a 3-game block now. We're more than capable of getting maximum points from the next 3 fixtures. But that's going to really depend on what we do tomorrow and how results go elsewhere tomorrow. We are more than capable of finishing in that 3rd place spot. Everything is sort of weighing in our advantage with that. The fact that we've got 3 of the last 4 at home, the fact that we've also got, teams around us to play, and of course that vital game in hand. But for me, it's all about setting ourselves up, and that starts tomorrow. We've got to go there, got to be not complacent, not arrogant. We've got to be fully focused and a little bit ruthless in some respects. But it all shapes from tomorrow. We can't get into that mindset like we had a couple of seasons ago where it was so close, but then we just dropped away from it at the end.
Yeah, no, and don't remind me, Craig. 1 point from 3 games, weren't it? But never mind, that's all gone. That's history. And tomorrow, I think the turning point will be the first 15 minutes. If we can get a goal in that first 15 minutes, you'll see a different Mansfield Town tomorrow. I think they'll click. But we've just got to get that first goal in the, get it as soon as you can. But I'm giving him 15 minutes to settle down and get the ball, because it's like the gentleman in the comments said, they're there for a reason, like we're 6th for a reason. We are better than them, and we need to put the foot on the pedal tomorrow, and we need to prove it.
Yeah,
and the fans are going to be there mob-handed as well. I mean, we'll make more noise than anybody, I think, in the ground tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the expectations for me. I think the players will focus. I think it needs to be a collective thing. And this is not a negative towards the fans. It's just a thing of when things aren't quite going our way, it's quite easy when the pressure's on, when you know that something's so close, to let that frustration bubble over a little bit on a Saturday afternoon. Just stay calm and just stay focused, because the Mansfield Town side have got enough about them to do it. But it all comes down to just managing that expectation, and it is what it is.
It'd be nice to have a decent referee tomorrow.
Well, there you go. Richard says, I don't expect an easy game, but to say it's the hardest of the last 7 is ridiculous. They are bottom for a reason. Yes, they are bottom for a reason, but that's why for me it is one of the hardest ones because of the expectation. It's not the hardest in terms of ability and the way they play football. That will come, to against the other teams that are up and around us, but it's the hardest in terms of expectation and playing the game in your mind, and that's exactly why I stick by what I say. Susan says Scunny's Gates 2,000 plus average with 2,000 Mansfield fans going. This game will seem like a home game and could work out to advantage. Jim says Clough isn't one to allow complacency at all. Let's talk team selection. Someone mentioned Danny Johnson earlier on. He got a good run out on Tuesday night, Alan, and did all right to say that we had a man less. Would he be in your starting lineup tomorrow afternoon, considering Rhys Oates is likely to be missing?
If Rhys Oates is missing, I would like to see Hawkins and Johnson, Hawkins up front, that is, and Johnson playing off him. And with Lapsley not playing for the next 3 matches, I would like to see Maris back because I think he's quality. Well, you know my feelings on Maris, being like that all season, is quality. And he just dictates the play better than any other player in the Mansfield team. I think if he gets at side of Longstaff, I think we'll see a quality effort tomorrow with Quinn on the left. And it'd be nice to see Hawkins and Johnson up front because, I mean, you can always change it if need be, like Nigel does. If the formation needs changing, it will do, and there'll be no problem doing that. But if they can start with Hawkins flicking the ball on or, laying it off and the Fox in the box, if he gets a chance, hopefully he'll put it away.
What about you, Clive? Are you starting Johnson tomorrow or are you a little bit more reserved?
No, I'm absolutely along with Alan there. I think that's the pairing up front and let Barry have a bit more of a roving brief. And I think at the back, I really like to think we'll start with Perch in the side.
That's key for me.
He brings a calmness that is essential at this stage. And I think Rawson's done absolutely nothing wrong to not be playing. It's just circumstance. So I'd have no problem in bringing Rawson in to allow a change of use of Hawkins.
I can potentially see us starting with a back 3 tomorrow and pushing McLaughlin and Perch as the wing backs a little bit higher up. So potentially a 3 centre halves of O'Toole, Rawson, and
Hewitt.
And Hewitt with thanks, Alan. With Perch right wing back, McLaughlin left wing back, pushing up and really trying to take control because I think that will allow us to probably compensate for missing George Lapsley. Stirk will definitely come back in because I'd like to see us maybe start Wallace as well. Quinn will start. I think I just got a feeling we're going to go with a back 3 tomorrow and play with wing backs and really try and bomb down the sides and really do them some damage. And I think again that maybe fits into your theory of having Bowery, Hawkins, and Johnson playing up top.
Yeah, I understand. I wouldn't have a problem with Barry playing, but I would like to get Maris in. I don't care where you fit him in, get him in, because I think he's the kingpin. I really do. I think they've missed Maris, like they missed O'Toole, generally at the back, those 2 games where he weren't playing, and then he came on as sub, and he obviously got his place back. O'Toole's been quality since, and I think Maris can do the same job.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to come on to podcast predictions in just a minute. That's almost all we've got time for tonight. I did say it'd be a shorter one this evening. Just a reminder, if you are on the road with the Stags, obviously the Stag Supporters Association taking coaches tomorrow, but they're also taking coaches up to Carlisle on Easter Monday the 18th of April. Departure from One Course Stadium is 9 a.m. It's £15 if you're an Amber or a Junior member, £20 if you're a Blue member, or £30 if you're a non-member. And that all-important number to call is
07967 689 597.
07967 689 597, the number to call. And in 2 weeks' time, we'll be live. Well, we'll be getting our suits on at this time. We'll be probably sweating backstage at One Course Stadium, making sure all the microphones are working, looking out the window, hoping people are going to be turning up. So please buy a ticket and give us that reassurance that you are actually coming. Stag Stories Live, One Course Stadium, Friday the 22nd of April, 2 weeks from now. Stuart Watkis, Neil Richardson and more guests to be confirmed will be at One Course Stadium for that episode of Stag Stories Live. Really looking forward to that one, Clive. And I know you were speaking to a lot of of people on the supporters coaches, weren't you, on Tuesday night? And there's a nice little bit of anticipation building for it, isn't there?
There is. I think if people can get, they by and large want to come. I mean, a lot of people have other arrangements on Friday evenings. It's always a problem when whichever day or time you pick, you're going to find some people that can't get. But yeah, I think those that are able to come will enjoy it. It'll be a good couple of hours, I think.
Yeah, certainly will. We'll have biscuit bingo, some other entertainment in there as well for you. Tickets are just £5 if you want to come along to that. And if you're a Stag Supporters Association member, you can use the code SSA2122 at checkout to get your ticket completely free, but you must show your SSA membership card on the door. So get in the link in the description and come along to that one. Stag Stories Live in 2 weeks' time. There's also an extended interview with Stuart Watkins in our podcast feeds right now and on our social media pages. And if that wasn't enough, there'll also be Stuart Watkins alongside me tomorrow for full match commentary as the Stags go to Scunthorpe. He'll be part of a exclusive Stags Stories series, which includes former Stag Les Robinson. He's got some great stories to tell. Really enjoyed recording that one. And Kevin Pilkington as well will also be a guest on the series coming very, very soon indeed. Right, let's switch our attentions to podcast predictions because I can smell the chips. Nathan is still top of the table. Nobody scored any points in midweek, as you'd imagine. Nathan remains top of the table then on 51. He has gone for a 3-0 win with Rhys Oates, Jordan Bowery and Lucas Akins getting on the score sheet. Cam then told him in the comments in our group chat that Rhys Oates is probably unlikely to play. Nathan wanted to change his prediction, and I said no. So there you go.
Right.
Cam's also gone for a 3-0 win, and he's gone for Danny Johnson, Jordan Barry, and Ollie Hawkins. Alan, you're next in the table then, above Cam on by a whole point. So what are you going to go for?
I thought you'd actually mentioned mine then before Cam's, because that's exactly what I was thinking. 3-0. Hawkins, Barry, and Johnson. That's obviously if Oates don't play, but I'm just going to stick my neck out and say Johnson, Barry, and Hawkins.
Excellent. Clive, what about you? Where are you going with it?
I've been a bit more daring. I'm going to say Scunthorpe 1, Sinclair.
Well, Sinclair can't play.
Right, it's not going to be Sinclair then.
But it doesn't matter anyway, because you don't get points for opposition goal scorers, but he can't play because he's on loan from us. But anyway.
Right, too. I'm crossing him out as we speak.
Yeah, I would as well, yeah.
And the Stags 6.
You're going for a 6-1 win.
I'm going Bowery, Johnson.
Whoa, slow down. Right, Barry, Johnson, yeah.
Quinn.
Right.
Hawkins.
Yeah.
McLaughlin.
Yeah.
And an own goal.
Am I giving you a point for an own goal?
Why not?
All right, yeah.
Don't start rewriting the chuffing rules again, Craig.
All right. I'll give you that. So an own goal, right?
If
what do I
get
go for?
6-1 win, I deserve it.
You do. I tell you what. Right. I'm going to put my neck out. Right. If you get 6-1 with all of those goal scorers, I will double your points.
Oh. Don't tell Nathan that.
Because I think that's such a long shot. I mean, I'd love to see it happen, but I will double your points if that happens. Right, I'm salivating now because I can smell the chips which have just been delivered. Right, so I am going to go. I'm not going to go 6-1, but I am going to be a little bit more ambitious than 3-0. I am going to go for a 4-1 win, and I'm going to go for Jordan Bowery to get 2, and I'm going to go for Stephen Quinn to rasp one in. And what was the word that I used on Tuesday, Alan, which you quite liked?
Razzer.
And I'm going to go for a John Joe O'Toole Razzer. So there you go. If you want to play along, you can do so via the link in the description, and make sure you get your predictions in 1 hour and 1 minute before kickoff. And of course, get yourself a ticket for Stag Stories Live in 2 weeks' time as well whilst you're there. Right, that's all we've got time for. Chips.
Enjoy your chips, Craig.
Oh, look at that. I mean, I've even got, look at these. These look nice. Oh, a lot of salt on them as well. They look lovely.
He knows how to live, doesn't he?
Got a can of dandelion and burdock. Right, that's it. I'm shutting up. Right. Make sure you subscribe, all of that useless. Right, just play the highlights from Tuesday night. See you in the week.
8 games to go in Sky Bet League 2. The finishing line may well be in sight, but Nigel Clough has issued a stern message to his players and the supporters. Focus on what's in front of you. What is in front of them tonight? A Forest Green Rovers side top of Sky Bet League 2, aiming to get promotion into League 1 as the teams make their way out onto the pitch for this big encounter, which could be huge in terms of the season for both of these sides. Mansfield Town, on the back of that victory over fellow promotion chasers Northampton on Saturday, make 2 changes to the starting lineup. Starman Rhys Oates misses out of the 18. Ryan Stirk dropped to the bench. In come Jordan Bowery and Kieran Wallace. Hewitt is in possession for the Stags over on the halfway line, over on that right hand side, charging forward, low ball into Quinn, 30 from goal. Quinn sets himself for a shot. It's wide by Stephen Quinn, inches wide of going into the top corner. Excellent football from Mansfield Town there, all started by Elliot Hewitt, charging over the halfway line, low ball into the feet of Quinn, and from 32 yards whizzed a left-footed effort just wide of the bar.
36-year-old, yes, and he shows every little ounce of his experience there, just by the post. Cracking shot, and nice play by Hewitt to get the chance in the first place.
Also, almost a yard for every year there.
Yeah, definitely.
Aikens flicks it on, looking for Bowery. It falls for Quinn. Quinn has knocked it over the Forest Green man's head, and Bowery's managed to get it into Longstaff. He pushes it towards Aikens on the edge of the box. Aikens looks to turn. McLaughlin wants it wide left and gets it from deep. Pushes it forward to Quinn. Takes it well. Low ball into Bowery to the left of the area. Bowery gets it back for Quinn. First time ball into Longstaff. Longstaff looks to set himself. It might fall for Lapsley. Returning towards Longstaff inside the area. It's still running free. Aikens! Oh, it's wide! Lucas Aikens turns it wide from 6 yards. Great bit of football from Mansfield. Really opened up Forest Green Rovers, and Lucas Aikens, with the goal at his mercy, somehow spun and fired wide.
I'm going to say, he didn't quite connect properly, did he? It was like bounced off him, but with the goal was gaping in, he's got the first chance of a good shot there, but just wasn't to be. But Mansfield are playing some really, really attractive football tonight, Craig.
Forest Green on the edge of the Mansfield box can try and get the ball wide again. They do towards that far side. Opportunity to try and whip the ball in towards the middle from deep. In it comes up towards Jamil Mann. It's a great save by Bishop, and there's the follow-up from Forest Green Rovers, and it's turned into the back of the net. It's Josh Marty who gets the finishing touch to open the scoring on 13 minutes. Forest Green Rovers 1, Mansfield Town 0.
Ollie Hawkins made a fantastic effort to get away with it, put the header away, and their bloke tried to put it in. Fantastic save by Bishop, and there was just nobody there to stop him from putting the ball in.
As soon as Sweeney takes this throw, it will be the half-time whistle. Referee looks at the watch, whistles to the lips, and as Stephen McLaughlin was in a chokehold there by Jamil Matt, the referee of Carl Brooks, does bring an end to this first half. Forest Green Rovers have had 2 shots on goal, lead by a goal to 0. Heavy touch finds its way to Lapsley.
Oh, give over.
Challenged by George Lapsley right in front of the referee.
No.
Nigel Clough is saying that is never a foul. And George Lapsley, though, will go in. Now he's got a straight red card. George Lapsley has been sent off for Mansfield Town, and Nigel Clough and Andy Garner are absolutely furious at the 4th official, the referee and the linesman, and asking how on earth that is a red card. Mansfield down to 10 men. George Lapsley dismissed, and nobody in Mansfield's camp can believe it. There was not one appeal from Forest Green Rovers. That is a disgrace. Forest Green defended it superbly well. McLaughlin puts it back in, but there's the full-time whistle, and Forest Green Rovers get 3 more points in their charge towards the title. In all retrospect, Mansfield Town tonight, had they finished with 11 men, may well have got a goal back. It's Forest Green Rovers 1, Mansfield Town 0.
So there you have it then. That's the story of Tuesday night as the Stags fell to a 1-0 defeat away at league leaders Forest Green Rovers. But all is not lost for Nigel Clough's men. 7 games to go, starting tomorrow afternoon at the league's bottom side, Scunthorpe United. Let's hope that the Stags can remain focused to get their 20th win of the campaign and put 3 points on board, hunting down 3rd place Port Vale, who host struggling Oldham. Elsewhere in Sky Bet League 2, there are plenty of games which affect the Stags, but focus needs to be really, really on Nigel Clough's men. If we do our jobs, anything else which happens is an absolute bonus. If you can't get tomorrow afternoon, make sure you tune into Mansfield 103.2. Our special guest co-commentator Stuart Watkiss will be alongside me for full match commentary on Mansfield 103.2. Jason Harrison has your build-up from 1 p.m. and then me and Stuart will be at the ground together, delivering you that full match commentary. And don't forget, there's still a chance for you to get your Stags Stories live tickets with Stuart Watkiss as our guest, Neil Richardson, Andy White there as well, and some more special guests to be announced. The link that you need is in the description. It's just £5 per person per ticket, or if you're an SSA member, use the code SSA2122 to get your code absolutely free. Make sure you come and join us in 2 weeks' time, Friday the 22nd of April, as Mansfield Town's former promotion-winning manager Stuart Watkiss, his assistant Neil Richardson, goal-scoring hero Andy White, and guests come back to relive those times some 20 years on. As always, thanks for your company tonight. The link, as I say, that you need is in the description. We'll be back in the week as we look ahead to the Easter weekend's fixtures and reflect on the Scunthorpe game. For now, though, enjoy tomorrow. If you can't get by your radio sets to hear all of the drama as it unfolds on Mansfield 103.2. This is the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast.